You can't send me newsletter right up. And I'm not interested in your polished grammar. I want to see outcome. Because I view success story beyond just outcome. I don't even want to see outcome alone. I want to see impact. What has changed? And so you must answer me a so-called question. Because a lot of time I see NGOs, by the time they do their newsletter, even when you don't have, as like does this a lot, even when you don't have activity, you go to one newspaper, copy and paste. You get? I am not saying what you're doing is wrong, but I'm saying don't do that. You can do it in a better way. So it is not activity reporting. It is about outcome and impact. That's what it is. So, because as we go on, I'll be teaching you what development communication. What's development communication? Development communication focuses on dialogue and participation. Because let me say, before I forget, there are three things as a communication officer, and there are three things the organization CISLAC must do. One is that the community people, the stakeholders, they must understand what the issues are. There are three things. If you did not achieve this thing in either your project as a communication officer, every other thing you're making is nothing but noise. The stakeholders, that's the community stakeholder, they must understand what the issues are. Two, they must understand that they are part and parcel of the solution. Number three, they must take action based on solution identified. These are your three jobs. So in development communication, today we are talking in terms of development communication. Because the communication, development is about social transformation. Your job is to achieve social change, social transformation. And because you have that, you must do dialogue and participation. You need to understand local realities. And when I talk in understanding local reality, let me say something that will shock you people. Are you aware? Are you aware? There is no illiterate anywhere. There's no illiterate anywhere. You know, when people from the south, when they say if you go to northern people, they are illiterate. They don't know anything. They didn't go to school. There's no illiterate anywhere. What you just have is that you have people who don't have English language literacy. My father is not an illiterate. He perhaps may not speak English, but that doesn't make him an illiterate. He only does not have English language literacy. If you want to learn about Biafra war, or if you want to learn about indigenous method of farming, or indigenous method of climate change mitigation and adaptation, sit close to my father and bring your pen and listen. So in northern Nigeria, a lot of them had written, a good number of persons, there are scholars there who had written a lot using Hausa languages and Islamic, there are Islamic scholars, right? So this behavior of development practitioners, you people, going to community with the confidence that I am a professional, and I'm going to talk to people who are not, no, they are not illiterate. In short, as a matter of fact, the community people are the experts. That is where the issue of understanding local realities stand. And that's why sometimes if you go to LinkedIn, you see a lot of people, plenty people say, You see, when you see this one's profile, see development experts, development experts, there is nobody's expert in development. The highest you can be is a practitioner, because development is you learn and unlearn. Do you know the difference between participation in development and participatory development? Participation in development means that before you go to the community to talk to them about any project, maybe you insist like we are always doing, maybe you're going to talk about to improve the capacity of the youth, or to demand for electoral reform. Maybe you want to improve youth understanding and voting system. So participation in development means that even before you go to that community, you had already designed what the outcome may be. You are just going to the community to sit down with the community, pretend you're doing something like a focus group discussion, or you're doing something like, what do they call it now? Town hall. But even before you go to that community, you already know what the outcome is. The community people are just coming to sit with you and talk, but they will never influence the outcome of that development. You already designed this project. You are just going to meet them as part of activity implementation. That is participation in development. But participatory development means that even before you design this proposal, you had gone to sit with the community to say, what do we do? The community people are actually the ones that will tell you what to do. So you take decision. It becomes participatory decision making. But beyond compliance, you need to understand the idea of bringing this money is that you want social transformation and social change, which is why if I ask you, all the money that we put in most of the intervention project, has anything changed? Has anything changed? Like, what, or let me put it this way. The money we spend in intervention, development intervention, is it commiserable to the change we've seen on ground? No, it's not commiserable. Huh? It is not good. That's the problem. Because we design a project excluding the people. You speak for the community rather than speaking with the community. In short, in participating learning and action, in a deeper development intervention conversation, in participating learning and action, your role here is even to provide capacity to the community. Your role is to hand over the baton, be behind, and provide what they call it now, provide the support. And that's why the moment the grant finishes, if you go back to that community, nothing is happening, because they were not part and parcel of that project design. They were not part and parcel of that project implementation. There was no, and let me remember this word before I forget. You, as a development professional, you do not call them participant beneficiaries. You need to call them co-creators. They are not beneficiaries. They are co-creators. Do you understand me? They are co-creators. When I walked into CISLAC, we are still going to be talking about it. When I walked into CISLAC last week, I was here for the launch, well, last 2 weeks. Last 2 weeks. When I looked at what you put on your wall, huh? I just looked at it and smiled. You know why I smiled? You replaced co-creation with brainstorming. If you don't look at that thing you people put there now, but we are going to talk about it. I have a slide for it. You replaced your co-creation with brainstorming. What are you brainstorming? So what you do here is co-creation. And in that thing you did, if you look at it, I think that there was somewhere they hate communication somewhere. No, communication supposed to be at the center of that design. Communication is the tree that is carrying everything. Every other thing you're talking about must come from participatory communication.
We are going into which is good. At the end of the day, even for communication, how do we measure the impact of this training among staff members?
So how you measure your impact among the staff members? At the end of the day, after 1 week, I need to see Abdul begin to talk in terms of, particularly the newsletter you've spoken about. I need to see him insist on outcome. Do you understand an impact? You know, we need to move from, we trained this so and so number of people to what happened. Because I am going to teach you, in this training, I'm going to be teaching you people communication for fundraising. And communication for fundraising, you first of all build trust. You don't just, with every tweet you put under Slack, either in Twitter, either on Facebook, LinkedIn, interview, everything you say about Slack must build trust. And the way to build that trust is that you are showing the outcome and impact of the job you do. And that is why sometimes you do not even allow Slack voice alone. You allow for community voice. You allow it for community voice. Let the stakeholders, let the lawmakers, let the beneficiary speak. That is when I'll be teaching you who defines impact and who defines progress. If you say this is the success story, who told you it's a success story? Was it the community people who said this is a success story, or you sat in your office to say this is a success story, or was it the donor that said this is a success story? I'm also going to be teaching you people, because NGOs think that by the time you report challenges, you have failed. No, sometimes funders also want to see your challenge. If you say, I have done projects, like 2 projects on climate change communication, at the end of the day, we failed flat. And I came back and I told the donor that our money we spent on climate change communication didn't make anything because we failed. And this was why we failed. And they want to see, when you fail, what did you learn? What did you strategize? Because it's not only about the impact and outcome. We want to see learning. We want to see what led to that impact. So there's nothing wrong if you say you fail, if you say you encounter, because also that also builds trust. So I'm going to be teaching this one on when we get to, what do they call it, communication for fundraising. But the truth of the matter, therefore, is that I do not have answers to all of that. All of you are interested in this newsletter. But I remember that I told you that I did it even before it came. As far back as 2013 or that, I was editor of this newsletter. So what I'm saying, now that you guys are very interested, what I'm saying is that, you see, your newsletter is not just information dissemination. It's not a notice board. It's not just information dissemination. In this training, if time permits, I'll be teaching you people common noise in development. Everybody's making noise. If you go to, that's why if you go to social media today, People, there is no communication going on. There's no serious communication or conversation going on about Nigeria. All what is happening is noise. So we need to come out from the noise, common noise in development. If you pick any newsletter, most of the newsletter, they will tell you activities from beginning to the end. If I come to Sislak today, for instance, and they say you'll be so busy from January to December, I say, fantastic, go and write 2-pager impact story. You may struggle. I'm just saying, for instance, you may struggle. Now, what you need to do, first and foremost, is what you need to do as a development person. When you sit down to write proposal, think from the lens of the impact. Start thinking from the lens of the impact. You must not think from the lens of activities. Your activities must define your impact must define your activities and also tally to your budget. Do you understand me? So what I'm saying, I know that Sislak is doing fantastic job. So in short, Sislak is one of the top 5 NGOs in Nigeria today. Do you understand me? But what I'm saying is that if you want to write report, either pay attention more. Even if it is, forget about it must be 20 pages. Because the strength of your write-up is not on the number of pages. It is on the substance. It is on the substance. Have I answered your question?